Guys, this is Leah with JuLeah Designs, and in today's tip video I'm going to walk you through using KW Command with DocuSign to start transactions, access your forms, edit your forms, and send them off to get electronically signed. Alright, so the first thing that we will do in this process is go to agent.kw.com to go ahead and log into Command. Again, that's agent.kw.com. Let's do that on the top of my screen. And feel free to pause the video if you need to log in. Of course, you can rewind the video, etc., so that you can keep up. All right, so once you are logged into KW Command, first thing I want to do real quick is just make sure that your DocuSign account is linked to Command. All right, you will need to link the two together. It's most likely already done, but let's just double check that. So real quick, let's come on over to the top right of Command. You'll see your name on the top right. So click your name on the top right of Command and then simply select Settings from that dropdown. So once you select Settings from that dropdown, it'll take you on over to all the apps that you currently have connected to Command. So this is just what we need to check real quick, that we see that DocuSign is connected. It's important to note what email address is linked to DocuSign. Okay, so you're logging into the correct account to access your forms correctly. If that is not connected properly, you can go ahead and work on that on the right-hand side. It should give you the option to connect, or you can just go ahead and email support@scottleroymarketing.com, and they'll be able to help you get that linked up right away. All right, so once you have that done, we're going to navigate on over to the Opportunities section of KW Command. All right, so on the left-hand side menu, that's that icon that looks like a handshake. All right, so your opportunities will be your transactions. So really, as corny as it sounds, anytime that you have an opportunity for a commission, opportunity for a sale, you want to be adding them to your pipeline. So the difference here between your contact database, right, where my mouse is circling, and my opportunities, you'll want to load all of your contacts to your contact database. And again, feel free to email support@scottleroymarketing.com if your contacts are not currently in Command. They can help you import them in for free, so that's awesome. So you'll want all of your contacts in KW Command in your database, whereas in your opportunity section, this is where you'll want to use this as your pipeline to keep track of any leads that you might have, right? Anyone that you've had a meaningful exchange with, that may be looking to buy or sell, even if that's in the next year, right? Wherever that might be, if that's a long-term buyer, short-term buyer, seller, etc. We want to go ahead and add them to our pipeline so we can keep track of them. What's cooler is then you can add a checklist, and I'll go over this in another tutorial, the checklist where you can, keep track of what action items you need to be doing for each transaction. So that, okay, what action items do I need to do to move them down my pipeline? From cultivate, right, that's growing the relationship, as you can see by this cute little plant icon. How can I move that down to appointment, active, under contract, or close, okay? So on the top right here, let's go ahead and create an opportunity and walk through this process. So we'll click Create Opportunity on the top right. All right, and there's only 3 fields that you have to fill out. So those top 3 fields are the opportunity type. So here, you'll select if that's a listing, buyer, landlord, or tenant. I'm going to select listing, but it'll be the same concept. Select whichever one applies to you or your transaction. Then client here. All right, if they're in your contact database already, you can go ahead and search their name, and they'll come up from your contact database. A newer feature that just launched in Command, you can now add a new contact at this time. So you could go ahead and add that contact, and it would prompt you to add in their email address and phone number at that time too. So client here, and if there's a co-seller, like a spouse on the transaction, you can go ahead and add them right here as well. And then the final field we have to fill out is that commission rate field. So scroll on down, and that'll just be your side of the transaction. So you can go ahead and put in that 3%. All right, that is changeable after you create it if they negotiate you down. But again, 3 fields we have to fill out: opportunity type, your client, and then the commission rate. And then you can click Create. And of course, feel free to pause the video at any time so that you can go ahead and follow along with me. So I clicked Create, and that created my opportunity. So where it takes me to what I'm looking at right now is the opportunity details. All right, all of this information here will autofill into DocuSign and onto every single form that I bring into my DocuSign room. So if you were to add the property information here, that would autofill into DocuSign. We'll talk more about that. So to get into DocuSign, we're going to come on over to the Documents section. And it's really, really important that the first time that you are creating this room in DocuSign, that you do it specifically from KW Command with this workflow. Okay, and I'll reiterate this workflow one more time, okay, because there is one extra step. So from the Documents section of your opportunity is where you'll always go to start your transaction in DocuSign so that the two can link together. However, before you do that, before you click to start a transaction, we're going to come on over to where it says pick a checklist type on the far left. This will auto add all of your required forms to your DocuSign room so you don't have to look for them one at a time. So on the left-hand side here where it says pick checklist type, select that, and the list will vary depending on what kind of opportunity you selected. However, Sabre creates these lists, puts together which forms are needed for each transaction. Okay, so once you select that checklist on the left-hand side, you'll see, first of all, on the left-hand side, especially if it's a buyer opportunity you're in, you might need to come on over to the left-hand side folders to click to view the other folders for listed under contract closed. And you'll note the forms with that blue DS next to it. Those are the forms that are going to automatically be pulled into your DocuSign room now when I click start a transaction. Okay. So again, very important that we take this workflow specifically. We create the opportunity in KW Command, click the Documents section of your opportunity, select the checklist type on the left-hand side, and then that last step will be to click Start a Transaction on the top right here. All right, and most of you probably only have DocuSign linked up, so when you click Start a Transaction, it should pull up DocuSign in a new tab right away. All right, if for any reason you get, for any reason nothing happens at all, it's most likely your pop-up blocker, so check on your top URL bar in case you see like a little window with an X. Click on that to allow the pop-up. And so now that it went ahead and created that DocuSign room based on that client and the type of opportunity I selected, and you'll see that all of these forms automatically pulled into my DocuSign room. Now, if that did not happen for you, you probably need to add your NERDS ID to your DocuSign account, which I'll show you right now, so just hang tight. However, if you are seeing your forms pull in here, that's because we picked that checklist type. So at this time, you can go ahead and click on any of your forms to start editing that. However, if you are not seeing any forms, or if you need to add additional forms, right, ones that aren't on this list in your room, you can click on Add. So follow me to the top right to click on Add. And that second option down will be DocuSign Forms. All right, when you pull that up, all right, if you do not already have your NERDS ID in, right? So if you pull that up and you don't have your NERDS ID and it says no access next to all of these, we need to enter your NERDS ID in, and I'll put a link in the description of this YouTube video if that's happening to you. That will show you how to link your NERDS ID so that you have access to all of your forms. So again, that'll be in the description of the YouTube video below to grab that. However, if your forms are here, you'll see on the left-hand side that we have your North Carolina listing file, sales file. And if you click Show More, if you are South Carolina licensed as well, you'll see those there. And then you'll see your libraries at the bottom. All right, but I like to stick within the groups. Sabre creates these groups to make it easier for us to find forms. So any forms that are currently in your room will say in use. You cannot pull in a second copy, but you can add additional copies. By simply selecting the form, you can, of course, search on the top for the form you need and click Add Selected. All right, so that's the part of accessing all of your forms. So now let's talk about editing your forms. Editing your forms is as simple as clicking on the form to open it, and we're just going to click to start typing. So the editing part, in my opinion, is very intuitive. It does usually take a second for the form to load. Once it loads here, you'll see a lot of information or some information autofill from the opportunity. Things like the contact that you put into command, well, their information autofills over, their email address, phone number. Your brokerage information will autofill over from the white pages, right? If you scroll down, you'll see your contact information. If you had the property information, entered in for the address, it would have autofilled as well. But what's cool too is if I go ahead and let's say put in the property address in this form, it will autofill onto all of the other forms that I pull into this room. So they autofill back and forth, the details and the forms, to help make your process more efficient. All right, so you can see that to edit the form, I am simply clicking to start typing, right? All right, and then as far as any radio dots, you can simply click to select that. You will not see the initial boxes or signature boxes at this point on the form. That will automatically be added to your form as long as it's an editable form like we're looking at here. All right, so this is part in the process. You're going to go through and click to edit all of the fields. And once you're done with that, click Save and Close. Okay, so feel free to pause the video if this is the point you want to go ahead and edit that form. And then you can press play and we can do the rest together. All right, so we'll go ahead and click Save and Close. And it wouldn't hurt to save and close, every few pages that you work on this, just to make sure that you get everything saved. So we'll click Save and Close on the top. All right, and once you do that, you can pull it into an envelope from there. Okay, so that this next step is going to be sending the forms for electronic signature. So again, now we have accessed our forms. In that step, we edited our forms. So all from this Documents tab, you would want to go through and edit any of the forms you want to send at once. So let's say I want to send the working with real estate agents and then a exclusive right to sell in one envelope, okay, or at one time to the clients. All right, so what I would do is I would click on the checkbox on the top left of the forms that I want to send. I have a little bit of a cold, so excuse me. So I'll go ahead and click on any of those forms that I want to go ahead and send. Is that the residential property disclosure, whatever it might be. All right, and then we'll go ahead. Once you click the checkbox on the top, all right, you'll then see this bulk action menu appear. So you'll notice if I uncheck these, this bulk action menu disappears. So make sure you have a box selected in order to see this, and you can hover your mouse over the icon so you know what each one does, like printing it. So for example, if you just wanted to edit the forms and then print them out to bring it on your appointment, you absolutely can, right? And you would do that by clicking the checkbox and then click on the print icon so you can print it on bring it on your appointment and explain it to them and have them hand sign it. That is absolutely fine. However, of course, the cool perk of DocuSign is you can actually send that for them to electronically sign, and you would do that in the envelope. Okay, so where it says create envelope, it's that little pin icon. Again, if you're not seeing this menu, make sure you click a checkbox above a form, and then click the pin icon that's create envelope. All right, so here's where things get to be a little newer. So KW just recently is bringing over all the e-signature features. So we're getting a lot more features in the KW DocuSign side. So you'll see some new tweaks, including this. All right. So right here, we're picking what roles do we want to bring in. All right. The listing agent for this, I need to sign, and my sellers need to sign. So I'll click continue. And so you don't always need to add yourself to the envelope. Okay. And we'll talk about more the envelope is. Right now, we're picking the recipients, right? So if you do not need to sign the form, you don't need to add yourself at this point. So since I'm sending, the exclusive right to sell, that's something that me as the agent would need to sign. So I do want to go ahead and add myself to the envelope. All right, and so you'll hear that term envelope a lot associated with DocuSign. So if you're new to DocuSign, that's probably a newer term. I like to make sense of it, channeling snail mail here, right? So if you were going to send forms in the physical mail, what would you do first? Grab an envelope, right? So I grab the envelope and I stuff the form in it, right? From here, now I will go ahead and add the recipients, right? That would be the next logical step. So where it says add recipients, I did not have a seller 2 in this in the opportunity, but you can see this comes over automatically from KW command. I'll just go ahead and add one. All right, so you shouldn't have to really fill in your clients here, because that should pull over from KW command when you create the opportunity. I just didn't have a co-seller for this one. Tony Stark, probably gonna buy a pretty big house here. Nice. All right, so I have my clients. I have seller 1, seller 2. And I have myself here as a listing agent. Okay, some things to note here, and this is new. So even if you've been using DocuSign, this is important for you to know. They've adjusted the default sending order on the left-hand side. So by default, if you have this checked, it will send it in this order. So what that means is client number 2 will not even receive the form until client number 1 has signed, right? So once client number 1 signs, then it sends to client number 2. And once they sign, it would then send to you as the agent. If you want this form instead to go to all 3 clients at the same time, all 3 parties at the same time, that's absolutely fine. And in that case, you can just uncheck this, and it will send to all clients at the same time. Okay. So if you want it to all send at once, you can leave it unchecked or check it if you want it to go out staggered. If you have questions on that, let me know. It's mainly just for you to know that if client number 2 says that they have not received the form yet, that's because client number 1 has not signed. All right, so coming on down here, I can add a message if I would like to. You do not have to. So the only part we have to do in this section is actually add the recipients and make sure that they're signing, or whatever their action is correct on the right here if they need to sign. And then we're going to click on Next. So click on Next on the right-hand side. And I know that this is a brief overview of how to do this, and you'll probably have questions about other things. Please let me know as you do have questions. I know there's a lot to DocuSign, so I'm happy to help with that. All right, so this is the final step. And another great news, we don't have to do anything. So we're really just reviewing it at this point. So, because we've already edited the forms, we determined the recipients, right? And I can view those recipients on the top left here. I can see those from this drop-down menu on the top left. Really all I'm doing is I'm scrolling through and making sure that they can sign where they need to sign. So you'll see the different colors of those initial boxes. Those correlate to the dots in the drop-down menu on the top left. All right, so I can see quickly that each of my clients can sign, and I can see that quickly as well on the right-hand side panel here. You'll see the 3 different tabs. That tells me that all 3 parties need to sign each one of those pages, so I can quickly check myself. Last thing I typically do to check myself is I click on Preview on the top right. So I can see their preview of what the form looks like and where it prompts them to sign. Again, just to check myself. So if you click on Preview on the top right, this will show you the form. You're viewing it as this client on the top left, so you can see what it looks like for them. Make sure they can sign everywhere you need them to sign. So if I click on Start, I go down to the first one, I initial, right? It goes down to the next box, initial. I'm not actually, of course, initialing for my client, but you are viewing what it would look like for them, so you can check your work that they can sign everywhere they need to. Oh, so I did that a little fast. I clicked on the X on the top right just to get out of that now. All right, so of course that's an optional step. And you can click Send on the bottom right. Okay, once you're ready. Of course, on the top right, you can go ahead and click on Actions and click on Save and Close if you're not quite ready to send this. But once you are ready, I'll click on Send here. And that will send the form on over to the clients to be signed. Okay, so you as the agent, all right, if you need to sign the form, so I'm going to go ahead and click on this. So I'm in the envelopes, okay? So the main 2 tabs we've been in is the Documents tab, and now the envelopes will show you every time that one or a group of forms were sent for signatures. All right, so this will, I didn't put myself, I accidentally put my different email address than DocuSign has, but if this is a form that you need to sign as the agent, right, you would, of course, if you put the email address that's associated with your DocuSign account, it will let you sign it right from here, okay? So just a heads up, As long as you put the email address that is associated with your DocuSign account, it'll let you click sign now straight from here, or it'll send it to your email address and you can sign the form from there. So again, that is only if you are signing the form. After that, you will get notifications. You'll get email notifications anytime that your clients have signed the forms. But just a heads up, the form will not come back signed to your Documents tab until all parties have actually signed that form. Okay, so just a heads up. One more time, you'll get email notifications that your clients have signed, but if there are 2 signers, for example, on the form will not come back signed to your Documents tab of your DocuSign room until all parties have signed. All right, and once that happens, all right, if that's all you need to know at this time, great. You can go ahead and go on your merry way. However, if you want to know now how to add your signed paperwork to your opportunity for compliance review, I'm going to show you that real quick. Shouldn't take but a couple minutes here. That is what you need to be doing to stay in compliance with the office and also how you get paid, right? So this is an action that you would do after the forms have come back signed. And I'm going to add real quick a fake form here just so I can show you guys this a little better. All right. So we've been working in the DocuSign room, right? So I'm in the Documents tab of the DocuSign room. So to separate the two for you, because we're going to come on over to another tab, I'm going to go to the Command Opportunity, the Documents tab of the Opportunity. Okay, if you lost this tab, it should just be open in a separate tab for you already, because we were here. It'll have that KW icon, so you can just switch tabs. If you lost this tab, though, no worries. Just go ahead and go to an opportunity, open that up, and click the Documents tab. And, of course, you can pause anytime. All right, so Documents tab of the Opportunity, okay, versus the Documents tab of your DocuSign room. Let's talk real quick about the difference. So the Documents tab of your DocuSign room is where you interact as the agent with your client. So it's between the agent and the client. That's where you get your forms. That's where you edit your forms and send it to your clients for electronic signature. Once the forms come back signed, at that time, you will come to the Documents tab of your Opportunity to add the signed paperwork to submit to the office for compliance. And again, how you get paid more motivationally. So that is used, the Documents tab of your Opportunity is used between you as the agent and the Market Center. All right, so at this time, what I would come in and do, so since I have that form signed, let's say, I want to come in and add my paperwork over so that the office can do their compliance check. So I need to add my listing file under contract and close file. And here it shows me what forms I need and it shows me if it's required. So I always like to click the requirement column here so I can it'll sort it so all the required ones are on top. All right, I then need to go ahead and add each one of these forms. So where it says attach file from up here, so if you got that form hand signed, right, if you printed the form, brought it on your appointment, got it hand signed, no problem. You can go ahead and upload that from your computer. So you would scan it to your computer and then click instead attach files from, we would do my computer, and then you can drag and drop or browse to bring in forms. All right, so if they're on your computer as a PDF, you can go ahead and do that method. Or if you want to pull that in from DocuSign, right, I switched it back, and this is going to pull it directly from DocuSign. So where it says working folder here, you'll notice it's grayed out. You always have to select that working folder. Just remember that. And then you can come in here and you can go ahead and select, right, the drop down. And it will show you any of your signed paperwork or PDFs in your DocuSign room. So you can simply click on the name of it and it pulls it right on over from the DocuSign room into the opportunity. So once you get the required paperwork for the listing file in here, you can click Submit to MC on the top right. That's typically something you'll want to do. Sabre would like you to do that within 3 days of the listing going live on the MLS. Okay, she wants your listing file, right, the required paperwork added and submitted to Market Center. If you don't have one form or you haven't gotten it measured, no worries. Go ahead and submit what you have, and then Carla will let you know, any forms that you are missing, so you can go ahead and add that in later. And then you'll do that again when you go under contract, right? You'll add in that signed paperwork and submit to MC on the top right. And then once more when you close. If you're representing the buyer, you'll do that when you go under contract and when you close. So twice when you're representing the buyer, you will submit to the Market Center, and 3 times when you are representing the listing. Last thing to say on this is you will also submit an offer and commission request when you go under contract to tell the office how they're dispersing your commission check. So I'll put a link in the description of the YouTube video below on how to do a commission request in case you need that next. All right, guys, I hope this helped. And if you have any questions at all, please do not hesitate to reach out. Contact at JuLeahDesigns.com. That's JuLeah, designs with an S.com. I hope this helped. Have a good one.